What's up, Bears fans? Welcome back to another episode of Chicago Bears Now. Today, I thought we'd dive deep into the defense because, let's be honest, offense always steals the spotlight, right? Quarterbacks, receivers, running backs, flashy plays, and big points, all those things get the buzz. This offseason especially has felt offensive-centric. You bring in a new head coach like Ben Johnson, an offensive-minded guy. You add offensive linemen, rookies like Cullison, Loveland, and Luther Birdley. The headlines are all about building the offense, but for a franchise like the Bears, which has such a long history of defensive excellence, it's worth pausing to look at the defense, the backbone of the team for so many years. Honestly, last season wasn't great for the defense. After that heartbreaking Hail Mary loss, things just seemed to unravel. Under the previous defensive coordinator, things started slipping, and then when Lou got fired, it only got worse, so it feels like the defense flew under the radar a bit, but that's where the real identity of this franchise lies, right? Let's peel back the curtain and take a closer look at what this defense might look like in 2025. Starting with the best player on the defense, it's easy to say Jaylen Johnson. Heading into the season, he's one of the best cornerbacks in the league. He's been steady and solid over the last 3 years. And while some might argue he was a bit better in 2023 than last season, he's still the anchor. What's exciting is the new scheme under Dennis Allen. We know Allen wants to be aggressive. More press-man coverage on the corners, letting those guys live and die on an island. That kind of system fits Johnson like a glove. It also fits Tyreek Stevenson, who we'll talk about a bit later. So, Johnson is the unquestioned top guy on defense. Now ideally, on a truly elite defense, your best player might be a pass rusher or a dominant linebacker, but for the Bears, Johnson is the cornerstone. The question then becomes, who is the second best player on defense after the trade deadline? A couple years back, it was really a 1A, 1B kind of situation between Jaylen Johnson and Montez Sweat. Montez Sweat arrived with a lot of hype. His ability to get after the quarterback was outstanding that first year, showing real pass rushing prowess. But last year, he didn't quite live up to those expectations, partially due to a nagging foot injury that seemed to limit his explosiveness. The Bears paid Montez Sweat big money, $24 million per year, to be that dominant edge rusher. No one expects him to be a Nick Bosa, Max Crosby, or Myles Garrett, but he should be well above average, not just a borderline starter. Unfortunately, last season felt more like average than impact player. That's disappointing given the investment, especially because the Bears really need him to lead the defensive line. Ideally, Sweat should be the number 2 guy on this defense, the second best player behind Johnson. He might even be the top defensive lineman. But last year, the defensive line as a whole was underwhelming. Outside of Sweat, you had Grady Jarrett, TJ Edwards, and Andrew Billings. Good players, sure, but not game changers. Jarrett is nearing 32 years old, so while he's still effective, he's probably closer to the tail end of his prime than the beginning. Edwards and Billings are reliable, steady contributors, but don't really strike fear in opposing offenses. This leads to an important point about the Bears' defense. It's a group full of good players, but few great ones. Jaylen Johnson is definitely a great player, but not a Hall of Famer just yet. Montez Sweat has flashed greatness but hasn't been consistently dominant over his career. TJ Edwards is a rock-solid linebacker, the kind of player you want on your roster, but not necessarily a game changer. TJ Edmonds was brought in and paid to be a difference maker, but his performance has been more average to good, and there are questions if he can elevate that to great in the current scheme. There are a few other pieces that could develop into something more. Gervin Dexter and Shamar Turner are rookies or younger players with potential, but there's still uncertainty. How high can the ceiling be without those true blue-chip stars? That's the big question. Without elite players in critical positions, it's tough to climb into the very top tier of NFL defenses. And when you look at the edge rusher group in particular, it's clear the Bears are a bit thin. Montez Sweat is your best guy, but after him, the depth isn't inspiring. The rest of the edge players, Dio Dingbo, Austin Booker, Dominique Robinson, and Daniel Hardy, are more rotation or depth pieces rather than consistent starters. Robinson has shown flashes but hasn't fully lived up to expectations yet. Hardy doesn't seem like the perfect scheme fit, being undersized for the role. The Bears' edge rush group is too reliant on Montez Sweat right now, and that's a little scary. If Sweat were to go down or slump back to the underwhelming level we saw last year, this group looks pretty thin. That's why I wouldn't be surprised if the team explores adding another edge rusher in free agency or through a trade. Players like Zachariah Smith, Jadeveon Clowney, Matt Judon, Von Miller, or Preston Smith are all names that come to mind, veteran pass rushers who could bring immediate impact and stability to that position group. Zachariah Smith, for example, still posted 9 sacks last year and maintains an impressive pass rush win rate around 14%. Clowney can elevate the run defense and bring some streaky pass rushing heat when he's on. Judon and Miller have long histories as solid edge defenders, and adding a veteran presence could help this Bears defense take a step forward. In comparison, when you look at a team like the Las Vegas Raiders with Max Crosby, they feel confident because Crosby is a dominant, consistent force who plays most snaps and pressures quarterbacks week in and week out. Sweat hasn't quite reached that level of reliability or dominance, which puts pressure on the Bears to improve that position group through other means. Shifting to linebacker, the Bears lean heavily on T.J. Edwards and T.J. Edmonds as their primary starters. Edwards is a dependable, consistent player who can cover ground and make tackles. Edmonds, while not spectacular so far, has the potential to become a more impactful player in this scheme. The rookie Ruben Hippolyte, yes, you heard that right, is looking like he might carve out a role as the third linebacker during spring practices. He took reps at the weak side linebacker spot while Edwards dealt with a minor injury. Hippolyte brings a unique athletic profile that the Bears love. If he can sharpen his instincts to match his physical traits, he could be a valuable contributor and a key part of the linebacker rotation. Now let's talk about the secondary, specifically safety. Jaquan Brisker and Kevin Bard are the starters, and if healthy, I feel good about them holding down the back end. Brisker, when on the field, is a playmaker. He's not quite all-pro caliber yet, but he brings energy, leadership, and versatility. He can hit hard, cover well, blitz, and play tight man coverage against tight ends and slot receivers. The concern is the concussion history that sidelined him for the last 12 games last year. It's a bit nerve-wracking every time he's involved in a heavy hit through the spring. He's been active and making plays, but no contact drills until training camp and preseason to avoid any setbacks. If he stays healthy, Brisker gives the Bears a strong presence in the secondary. Behind Brisker and Bard, the depth includes Jonathan Owens and Elijah Hicks. They're solid backups. But if injuries pile up and Hicks is called upon to start for extended periods, that could stretch the defense thin. Last season showed how opponents could exploit the drop-off in depth. Looking ahead, who are the X factors on this defense? Who might surprise us with a breakout season? Tyrique Stevenson stands out as the biggest question mark outside of Brisker's health. Stevenson has clear upside. He's long, athletic, physical, and with this new aggressive press man scheme, he might finally put it all together consistently. If he reaches his potential, he could develop into a true CB1, giving the Bears a dynamic corner duo opposite Johnson, which would be huge. Javon Dexter is another intriguing player. He's bulked up and looks to take on more of a one-tech defensive tackle role, which suits his strengths better and could make him a stronger run stopper. If he can consistently penetrate the interior line and disrupt plays, that would be a major boost. Dio Dingbo, the free agent addition, is expected to contribute. He showed flashes with the Colts but hasn't dominated consistently. Physically, he's a specimen. So if the Bears hit on him, he could be an important piece. If not, it would be a setback. The reality is this defense has a lot of good players, some potential, but a lot of questions. Can Tyrique take the next step? Will Montez Sweat fulfill his big contract? Can the edge group improve, either through development or addition? How healthy will Brisker be? The answers to those questions will largely determine if the Bears' defense is average, good, or maybe even very good this year. At best, I think this defense could be a top half unit in the league, maybe ranked between 10th and 18th. The floor is probably around 18th if injuries strike or things don't click. The ceiling, without a true elite pass rush, might fall short of a top 10 defense. But with some development and potential free agent help, there's room to climb. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Chicago Bears. And don't be shy, drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In a surprising turn of events that has set the NFL rumor mill ablaze, Chicago Bears head coach Ben Johnson may have just dropped a bombshell about the future of star defensive lineman Grady Jarrett. During a brief but loaded media appearance this week, Johnson was quoted saying he doesn't play with me on the Bears anymore. When asked about Jarrett's role on the team moving forward, the comment was short, blunt, and enough to send shockwaves through Hollis Hall and beyond. While there has been no official statement from the organization regarding Jarrett's status, Johnson's words have fueled widespread speculation that a major shakeup could be underway. Some insiders are whispering that tensions between player and coach have been building quietly behind the scenes. Others suggest it could simply be a motivational tactic or a moment of frustration blown out of proportion. Still, the possibility that Jarrett, an established veteran and former cornerstone of the Falcons' defense, could be on his way out of Chicago is impossible to ignore. Sources close to the team hint at growing concerns about scheme fit and locker room chemistry, though no concrete details have emerged. Jarrett, acquired in a high-profile move that made headlines at the time, has had a rocky transition to the Bears' defensive system. While his talent remains unquestioned, his impact on the field has been inconsistent, leading some to question whether he's the right fit for Johnson's vision of the team. Around the league, teams are reportedly monitoring the situation closely. If Jarrett does become available either via trade or an unexpected release, there will be no shortage of suitors ready to make a move for the veteran lineman. For now, though, all eyes remain on Chicago, where an offhand comment from the head coach might just signal the beginning of the end for Grady Jarrett's time in a Bears uniform. Is this merely smoke, or is there fire behind Ben Johnson's words? One thing's for sure, something is brewing in the Windy City. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Chicago Bears, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.